Welcome. It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. She is back. She is Virginia Blumenthal. She is the president of the Riverside Community College District. Always enjoy having you on the program, of course.
Thank you very much. I always enjoy being here.
I want to speak with you about education funding. As you know, as a result of Proposition 98, passed in the 90s, as well as Proposition 30, passed a few years ago, K-14 is receiving a nice chunk of change as this economy is turning around. Talk to us about your views of the fact that I just said K-14 as opposed to K-12, because 14 means community college.
Absolutely. And I really believe that it should be K through 12 and then have the community colleges on their own. While they are allegedly receiving the benefit of some of these funds now, you have to remember how community colleges are already so underfunded.
Right.
You know, compared to all of the other institutions. As far as the University of California students get approximately $17,000 per student per year. California State Universities get approximately $13,000 per student per year.
Okay.
K through 12 gets $7,000 to $9,000
Right.
per student per year, and community colleges get $4,300.
Really?
So it's not equal. And my problem is that if community colleges did not have to offer all of the remedial classes that they do, then we could offer the regular classes that our students could get through a lot faster. Now, why do we have to offer remedial classes? It's not for the few adults that come back. It's because K through 12, in my opinion, is not doing their job.
So this is an interesting tension, because obviously the educational institutions in California want to be complementary to each other.
Absolutely.
But you're not the only one that has said that you are spending, meaning community college districts, so much time on remediation. But I wonder if you think, because funding is at higher levels than in the past few years, will this allow K-12 to educate their students in such a way that remediation is not necessary at 13 and 14?
I don't believe it changes anything. I'll tell you why. We took such a hit. You know, 6 years ago, when you lose 40% of your budget,
Right.
and so then they give you back 30, you're not whole.
Right.
So all that's happening is, while I believe it's been good to an extent that we are now much more efficient, we are now being able to put back classes. I don't think that necessarily raises the quality. But what we have done is we've gotten certain grant monies in, and we are working with K through 12 on trying to get at least the high school students ready so they are not remedial when they come to our institution. For example, we get these kids online where they can take certain courses. They pass the remedial, they pass the testing. We guarantee them placement in the classes, and we guarantee that they will have their AA degree in 2.5 years.
That is stunning.
It is.
Because for so long, over the last few decades, let's say, probably not the last few decades, last decade or so, it was increasingly difficult to get your AA after 3 years, let alone 2 or 2.5. How are you able to do that? Is the funding at such levels that you can offer the courses needed to get out?
Well, yes and no. We are giving them priority.
I see.
And we're trying to show people it can be done. And so we are getting those students ready. We're taking it, which I think K through 12, but they're not doing it. Okay, we want our students ready, because if we can get them through that way, we don't have to offer there are less students than for our remedial classes. We just did it in the Corona Norco School District area, and we have over 700 students that are doing it that way.
And so what happens with those students that are able to participate in this 2.5-year program? Are they matriculating to 4 years, or are they tending to get vocational degrees? What are you seeing?
There tends to be a stronger urge to go to the 4-year universities or state colleges. Some are getting their degrees because they can work and or certifications rather.
Right.
So they can get income now, but there's still an emphasis on higher education even beyond the AA degree.
At the same time, I want to continue talking about the tensions within the education establishment. So K-14, I'll just use that term, gets these preferences through Prop 98, through Prop 30, whereas higher education, even though community college technically is higher education, is it not?
It is definitely higher education.
So we'll call it the other higher eds, the CSUs and UCs, don't have those protections. You know as well as I that this year there was a battle between the governor and the chancellor of the UC system over funding. And so, you know, I'm wondering if somehow we got to get to a place where the educational constituencies aren't fighting over the same pot.
I think that would be terrific. I will tell you that we did have a meeting at the Riverside Community College itself with Dr. Janet Napolitano.
Right.
And regarding easing or transferring community college students, specifically from RCC, Moreno Valley, Norco College, to the University of California systems.
Is there a clear pathway? You may know, for example, in Long Beach, they have what's called the Long Beach Promise, which creates a clear pathway between LBUSD, LBCC, and Cal State Long Beach.
Cal State's, we have that.
So Cal State
San Bernardino and Cal State Fullerton, depending on the degree.
So,
but we're trying to do it with the University of California also.
Which makes sense. Do you know if those pathways exist anywhere in the state?
We are starting ours now.
So you're the first?
We are the first doing it. And what we are discovering is all of the students from RCC who are transferring in have a higher graduation rate and a higher GPA than those who started there as freshmen.
So are you looking specifically at UC Riverside?
For right now, yes.
And so, I'm excited to hear about this because this really would be a sea change to have a clear pathway. It's essentially guaranteed admission.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes.
And so
long as you have certain requirements, correct.
So where are we on this? Because this really is the future. Because if I may interrupt, when I was a kid, kids who went to community colleges usually needed a second chance. It's not that way always anymore. There are plenty of very bright kids that are starting at community college for financial reasons, for whatever reason it may be. So these are kids that could have started at the UCs or CSUs. So if you're creating a program that gets these kids, from RCCD to UC Riverside like that, that is a sea change.
It helps their numbers. They have a higher percentage of graduation, and they have a higher GPA of the students that are graduating. So there's a higher rate of completion.
So what has to happen to make this happen? Because this really, if there's anything you can do, I don't mean to be a partisan, but this is the program that will be called like the Blumenthal,
Well, what's happening with it is UC has got to get off the ivory tower. They got to quit looking down their nose at community colleges. We have made some major inroads on working with UC Riverside. With their athletic program, with community fundraising, with working partnerships, especially our nursing program, and we worked hard to help get that medical school at UCR.
So here's the question. I think it's fair to say that in the Riverside area, RCCD is very well respected.
Yes.
RCCD is known statewide as being one of the best community college programs amongst the 79 districts, is that right?
Yes.
And so do you work with UCR directly, or does this need to be with the UC system?
We do both.
Okay.
We've been working with Dr. Kim Wilcox.
Right, who's the chancellor.
Yes, he's the chancellor, and we've recently had the meeting with Ms. Napolitano.
Right, and what are they saying? Look, UCR, there's no question it is becoming a more popular institution.
Absolutely. It's a good institution.
Yeah, it's a very solid institution. You can see their admissions rates are going down, which is a blessing and a curse, but you know what I'm getting at. So where do you go from here? Are they amenable? Are they skeptical?
Well, they are much more amenable, and especially, you know how I'm a straight talker.
Oh, yes,
basically,
you are.
I told Janet Napolitano just that. As far as
Did she know what she was in for when she walked in the room? You're an icon, Virginia Blumenthal, in this community. Did she realize what she was in for?
Well, I told her, I said, when is the UC going to quit looking down their nose at us?
What did she say?
She smiled and
course.
she said, we're working on that.
Okay.
And she actually was very approachable.
She was.
And it's because we call it that way is don't close the door on us, don't look down their nose at us.
Right.
Now, I'm a community college grad.
Right. And
from RCC.
And now you're one of the most well-respected attorneys in this region. So you can do it.
It wasn't because I needed a second chance.
Right.
It's because I actually got a better education at RCC than when I went away to school. Because I was taught I take English 1A, health science, and I'm in a class of 35 taught by the actual professor.
Her name is Virginia Blumenthal, president of RCCD. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Charter Local Edition.